we're going to start off first and foremost with Cancun. Now, a lot of people may think of Cancun as a very popular vacation destination with a lot of sweeping resorts and hotels, all you can eat this, parties that. But there's a huge expat community. There's a large Black expat community that also resides in Cancun. And the great thing about Cancun is it's a really, really, really soft landing because one, you're close to an airport, very close to an airport, an international airport. Um, I believe it's like less than 2 hours from Florida. I know for me, it's just over 4. And there's a lot to do. You have 5-star to 7-star restaurants. You have, of course, the beaches, but you have a whole host of other places that you can visit in a short, during a short trip. So from the cenotes to some of the other destinations that we're going to go over in a second, but there's a lot to do no matter what age you are. So if you're looking for someplace that's not too packed, the population is about 900,000 people, which is not, crazy. Cancun should be on the list. And when it comes to safety, you know, I like to use one criteria when I'm telling a story, like how many mass shooting or mass, pew pews happen, in the US every year. Well, it's a lot more than any of the places that I am going to list. Well, maybe except one. Well, no, mostly all of them. So Cancun has about 2 every year. And, those tend to be related to things that most of us are not involved in, right? So if you're going anywhere with illegal or bad intentions, then anything can happen. But as far as just a average person moving their family, across the border and having their kids in school, none of these happen in school, right? None of them happen in school. A couple may happen they may happen at a nightclub, or they may happen, someplace where there's activities going on. And so, as it relates to the safety score, very high. As it relates to the fun score, extremely high. And as it relates to cost of living, we're going to use Cancun as an example moving forward. I mean, in a little bit, but we're going to go through the other cities first, and then we'll come back to Cancun and show you exactly what the cost of living comparison is. Compared to, I'll use a couple of cities so you can see. And let's talk about the weather. If you're looking at the hottest month, that would be August. Now, the reports say it's about 90 to 94, but it can get warmer than that, especially when you factor in the humidity. It can get really, really, really hot. But in the wintertime, the average temperature, low temperature, is about 64 degrees. Isn't that beautiful? Now, you may get a couple days where it may drop to high 50s, but you're not going to have snow. You're not going to have frigid temperatures. And so I highly recommend Cancun. Mexico City is a city that is population-wise larger than New York City. Currently at about 9.2 to 9.3 million people living in the Mexico City metro area. It's bustling. It is bustling so much that it's not on my list because I am leaving that. Like I live in a city where there's a lot of traffic. I live in a city where there's a lot of noise. I live in a city that's just busy all the time. And I could come back when I want that, but I definitely am not looking for that. And safety wise, although for population size, it's considered safe when it comes to the mass pew-pewings. They can average about 40. Now, their definition of mass is 4 people or more. So we're not talking, a movie theater. We're not talking a school. We're not talking a cathedral. We're talking 4 people. And so the average number of um, mass pupillings in Mexico City is about 45. And again, that could be 4 people. And it's not, you don't hear about it being tourists. You don't hear about it being expats. You hear about it people doing things that this is a side effect of that type of behavior. So nothing to really be fearful of. Overall, it's considered safe. I know quite a few people who have either lived there, I visited there. The airport alone is just too big for me. I have no desire to have to deal with that. But it's a great city for anyone who's looking for, again, quality restaurants, quality activities, lots of things to do, and a huge community of expats. Weather is beautiful. In May, which is typically like the hottest month, May, June, you're looking at about between 86 and 88. Now you do have some heat waves and things like that, but the average temperature, high temperature, is in May, June, and it's about 86 degrees. Low temperature is about 45 degrees. It could dip a little lower than that, but again, these are all averages. So next on the list is my home away from home, Playa del Carmen, which has a population of about 300,000, but it is growing. It's probably much higher than that in the last year. Yeah, it's growing a little too fast for my liking because, of course, that means prices are going up, and less supply um, means greater demand and higher prices. So, yeah, 300,000. I'm going to say, I've seen somebody say they expect, I think, 500,000 by the end of this year, I want to say. But I love it. It's very walkable. Um, if you stay within the center of town. Now they have what's called Across the Highway, which is also known as the Jungle, and that's less walkable. But there's cabs. There's what they call the colectivos, which is their bus system. There's ways to get around. Me personally, I like to walk to the beach when I want to. So when it comes to mass pupillings, we're looking at 0 to 1. Remembering the definition of mass is 4 or more people. And I always feel safe. The city is like New York in some ways. Nighttime, it goes, I mean, you could be at a restaurant till 2, 3 o'clock in the morning. You can be in the center on Fifth Avenue, all types of, in the evening, and not really feel any type of way. Like you don't feel threatened or, like, oh, somebody's about to get me. Great jazz bands, great music, great food. It's just so much to do. Just so much to do. Tons of things to do. So I highly, like I said, recommend Playa del Carmen as a top choice. Now, I don't like Playa in the summertime. I'm not going to lie. Playa in the summertime is just too hot. And when I say summer, I'm talking about starting in the end of May. Or technically, yeah, because I was there this year for my birthday. Yeah. There were some super humid days, and I could stomach a few, but I don't know, to have to do the whole summer there, I couldn't. I don't see myself doing that. But again, if you can stomach the heat and the hot weather, some people grew up like that. Some people grew up in Florida, so they're used to, or Texas, and they're used to that type of heat. So I definitely recommend Playa to be added to the list.